Good morning. It's 3 past 6 o'clock. 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin down yonder. Miss Erin is back, and she has news up next.
A man shot by police is filing a lawsuit. A woman fired by the MPC is threatening to sue, too. And some tough words for the nation's biggest banks.
Definitely talk a little bit more about the state budget today. You were not here yesterday.
Did they balance it while I was gone?
No, you're thinking of a miracle like the loaves and fishes.
Okay.
We had a Facebook post yesterday by University of Louisiana Systems President Jim Henderson.
Our pal, yeah.
That you did not hear.
Oh.
Wait until you hear what Mr. Jim has to say about things pertaining to Friday morning's interview. Plus, Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
Now,
A Shreveport man shot by police suing. Matt Parker with that.
Brian Poole, who was shot by Shreveport police after a low-speed chase in 2017, has filed a lawsuit against the Shreveport Police Department. Poole, who pled guilty to aggravated flight from an officer and admits he was under the influence of drugs, claims that Corporal John Bracino had no reason to shoot him and it should have been clear that he was no threat to the officer. A Caddo grand jury reviewed the shooting and cleared Bracino last year. From 1017 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
SPD looking for Mark Longenecker, the man they believe is responsible for a Monday morning bank robbery in West Shreveport. Police believe he allegedly pulled a gun at the Regions Bank on Pines Road and demanded cash. The suspect led police on a chase on 220 before ultimately escaping into the woods. Police believe Longenecker is armed and dangerous. They urge anyone with information on his whereabouts to call Crime Stoppers at 673-7373. Tough words for some of the nation's biggest banks. Senator John Kennedy blasting a policy by Citigroup and Bank of America, who now say they won't work with businesses that sell guns to anyone under the age of 21. But he says these two big banks have been bailed out by the government.
This is America. You can believe what you want. That's fine. If a bank wants to take a policy like that, that's fine. But you can't come crying to the American taxpayer if you get yourself in trouble. I mean, these gun owners, in part, and I'm one of them, gave Citigroup $476 billion.
Kennedy has written harsh letters to the leaders of the banks, and he wants Louisiana to cancel any state contracts with Citigroup and Bank of America. A lawsuit filed against the city and the MPC for discrimination. Judy Negretti's filed suit against Shreveport, the MPC, and the Caddo Commission for alleged discrimination. In a letter from her attorney, Negretti claims the MPC fired her for questioning why two of her fellow co-workers were let go from their jobs. Her lawyer says Negretti acted as a whistleblower against age and race discrimination and was fired as retaliation by the MPC. A proposal to boost fees for hunting and fishing licenses failed to get the necessary 70 votes to pass the House. The legislation would have brought in $6.8 million a year. It would also consolidate the number of licenses from 117 to 35 and actually lower some fees. But Representative Blake Miguez says he's fine with a consolidation of licenses, but his have called for Medicare to start paying for treatment in methadone clinics. Former President George H.W. Bush hospitalized with an infection in his blood. This comes just days after he attended the funeral for his wife, Barbara. And a veteran who lost his genitals from a blast in Afghanistan has gotten the world's most extensive penis transplant. Johns Hopkins University surgeons rebuilt the man's entire pelvic region in an operation that took 14 hours. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past. Oh, gosh. I'll tell you guys in a second. 9 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben, traffic update.
Everything's looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on North Market near North Hearn Avenue. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun with a warmer high of 72 today, then becoming clear, low 54 tonight. Sunny and warmer, high 80 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Good morning. It's 12 past 6 o'clock. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Ask Matt, how was the Foo Fighters?
How was the Foo Fighters, Matt?
I wouldn't know, but from all the pictures and videos I've seen, it looked like I missed a damn good time.
Oh, you were
See,
still
we
sick
thought,
Sunday night?
he was putting all those photos up from his house. He wasn't at the hockey game on Sunday night. He wasn't at the Foo Fighters. It's Sunday night.
You were laid up still?
He was still laid up. And
Dang.
everybody I know, everybody who knows Matt suspected he had taken those pictures ahead of time, had gone to the Foo Fighters and was texting 8 or 10 hour old photos from his house from CenturyLink.
There were 12,000 people at the CenturyLink Center, give or take. I think I would have been spotted by someone.
Yeah, possibly.
He's feeling a little better this morning. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I walked by and he had that brooding face on.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any hair gel on today.
No, he went sans product, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It looks all right.
Matt Parker, lumbersexual.
I got while y'all were away, while I was away.
I beg your pardon?
I got a magic toilet.
I beg your pardon?
The guys came and put in my toilet in my bathroom, and it's magic.
How does it work exactly?
The lid comes up and down all by itself.
Does it really?
You just touch
That's
it
good.
in the up way, and it goes up.
That's a good thing for you after 2 margaritas.
Yeah, no doubt.
Or well, never mind. If
And
you ever
then
get married again.
If it only delivered mail.
Oh, yeah. When are we going to get something like that?
Forget it. Go ahead.
And then you just touch it, and it automatically goes. Bzzz,
How does it go?
bzzz.
Not
It's
the only.
really
Never
cool.
mind.
I mean,
You
I
know
was
where
in.
Stop.
You know where I was
Stop.
going, don't you?
I was in there flirting with it last night. I was
Yeah,
like,
really.
Oh,
Come
boy.
here, toilet.
Turn
don't
off the
feel-
mics. Turn off the mics. We're going to do an off-color joke. We apologize.
All right.
Everybody's mic is off now.
Whoa! No, you can't do that joke.
I didn't think I could. That's why we turned our
No,
mics off.
No.
Okay.
So what I miss? Anything big?
A little bit later, I will read for you the Jim Henderson Facebook post.
Okay.
That has to do with what you say at this time, because I've said it 1,000 times. What do we always say about Texas?
What does Texas do that we're not?
That we should start.
That we should start doing.
Yep.
What are we doing that Texas doesn't do?
That we should quit.
That we should quit.
And basically, Dr. Jim sort of goes in that direction. And also, the possibility, he touches on in this post, the possibility of a constitution. You know what? I'll just read it to you now. We were going to go with our bit yesterday with John Kennedy.
Oh, good. You had both senators on yesterday. I'm jealous.
But that's about 5 or 5.5, so we'll wait.
Okay.
So when we had Dr. Jim on Friday morning, and we were talking about Dr. Jim Henderson, the president of the University System of Louisiana.
You bet.
And we were talking about the budget and budget cuts. And I said, in reference to Dr. Jim and Dr. Ghali at University Health, I said, look, the money they get is the money they get. In other words, they know what it takes to run their respective quote-unquote businesses.
Sure.
A cut to that is they know the damage it will do. Meanwhile, we are the ones, they too to a markedly lesser degree because they're individuals, but we as taxpayers, and it seems to be, to quote Scott Hughes, a growing sentiment of no. That a lot of people are displeased with the way that with government bureaucracies.
Sure.
That you are not doing a good job with the monies that I am giving you. So if Matt is like the middleman, if Matt is government, if Matt is the money pimp, and you're University Health, you're the medical school, you're the universities in Louisiana, and I give Matt $100. And because of Matt's expenses and Matt's costs and Matt's wasteful ways, you only get 20 of that, knowing it's going to cost you 25. You're going to say, wait a second, your cuts are killing me.
Yes, big time.
And I'm saying, wait a second, I'm giving him $100. It's what he does with the $100 is between you and him, not between you and me.
Right.
Hence the Scott Hughes quote, sentiment of no. So here's what Dr. Jim wrote, and it had to do with on his Facebook page, he had, thanks for this, reposted our interview from Friday morning at KEELnews.com. And a couple of people, a couple of his friends on Facebook got into a little back and forth about what the solution to our budget woes is. Higher taxes, lesser taxes, more efficient government, etc. And this is what Dr. Jim wrote. My thoughts, subject to change. Big smiley face. This was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
It was.
Every dedication, here's where Dr. Jim starts. Every dedication amended into the Constitution was approved by we the people after a vote of the legislature. Every statutory dedication was voted into existence by the legislature. Each has a constituency. Most have lobbyists, very highly paid lobbyists. Undoing any of them seems to be far-fetched. In fact, Dr. Jim continues, I believe more every day that the Constitutional Convention is a red herring. As the fifth lowest taxed citizenry per capita, state and local taxes as percent of income, in the nation, we are arguing today about reducing our state sales tax by a half a penny. Really? That with the elimination of a few ill-considered exemptions, and we have solved the problem, at least in the near term. Now he continues. Longer term, we do have a structural issue that may require a limited constitutional convention. Louisiana does far more at the state level. Back to the Texas analogy.
You bet.
Louisiana does far more at the state level than just about any other state. I believe a number of responsibilities could be better handled locally and or regionally. That would require state-level elected leaders to relinquish some power. Though that brings us back to the world of make-believe.
Wow.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah, pretty strong.
Happy Sunday, he wrote after
Oh,
that.
boy.
19 past 6 o'clock. We're just starting with this. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Sports is on the way. Traffic and weather updates right now on KEEL.
Everything's looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on North Market near North Hearn Avenue. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun with a warmer high of 72 today, then becoming clear, low 54 tonight. Sunny and warmer, high 80 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Twenty-two past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Time for sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. In the LHSA baseball playoffs last night, Parkway knocked off Ponchatoula. It took 9 innings, but the Panthers advanced with a 2-1 win. And Shreve shut out Ruston 2-0. More games on tap today. Garrett Cole only gave up 4 hits in his 7-inning work shift, but he still suffered his first loss as a Houston Astro. The 2-0 setback at home against the AL West rival Angels snapped a 6-game Stros winning streak. Oakland's Marcus Semien blasted a leadoff homer in the top of the ninth to break a 3-3 tie with the Rangers. The A's didn't stop there, adding 5 more runs in the frame on 3 singles and a pair of triples to beat Texas 9-4. Houston scored 50 points in the third quarter with James Harden accounting for 22 and the Rockets' red glaring of Minnesota 119-100. Houston leads the series 3-1 and will have a chance to close it out at home in Game 5. And Utah has grabbed a 3-1 series lead over Oklahoma City with a 113-96 win last night. Ed Orgeron was in town last night at the Tiger Tour stop at the Horseshoe Casino's Riverdome. We'll have Coach Orgeron on with us on 1130 The Tiger this morning. LSU just wrapped up spring practices on Saturday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Down home.
(25 past 6). Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. So what do you think about what Dr. Jim Henderson says?
That's pretty strong.
Longer term, we have a structural issue that may require a limited constitutional convention. Louisiana does far more. What did Wags tell us? Biggest difference between Texas and Louisiana.
Too much power in the governor's mansion.
In Louisiana.
You bet.
Dr. Jim, once again, Louisiana does far more at a state level than just about any other state. I believe a number of responsibilities could be better handled locally and or regionally. But, I put in the but, that would require state-level elected officials relinquishing some power.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us back to the world of make-believe. So is he saying, well, we've got what we've got. Got what we got. Nothing can change.
Yeah.
We're done. We're screwed. We're hosed.
It's too late for us.
Stick a fork in it. We're done. Stick a fork in us. We're done.
Right.
I asked Matt yesterday, if there were a limited constitutional convention with delegates elected from each, let's say, state legislative district, would you run for state constitutional convention delegate?
Would I? No.
Yes. Oh, I would in a heartbeat.
No.
Matt said he would.
No.
Every one of my friends says they would run.
No.
I don't know what it would cost.
There's too much time involved. The time.
What did
drain
Wags
would-
tell us about that? If the same olds, if the same old politicians, if the same old politicians that have gotten us into where we are now, into the muck, the mire, the quicksand, the financial quicksand. He said if those same guys go down there and are the delegates, then what's going to change?
Well, you're right. If it's going to be the same old, and they're like, we need people who really care, and I would step up.
I don't deny they care. I mean, what point? Let's extrapolate on the Erin McCarty political philosophy here for a second. You can't be bought.
No.
Okay. Would you say, and bought is such a strong word.
It is a strong word.
You can't be influenced.
Right. Whatever you want to
percentage
offer
of
me.
What percentage of the politicians currently elected officials in Baton Rouge are capable of being influenced?
Ooh.
Don't even say out loud. Just everybody think their number.
Think of a number,
Just think of your number and think of someone or two or five in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And if those are the same people, if it's the same guys, why just not let the state legislature do it? Well, look what we got now.
Yeah.
No matter what side of that financial, of that budgetary, of that monetary aisle that you're on, we are where we are. And so when it comes to fixing things, are those in fact the people who you should entrust to fix it? Well, I mean, look at the whole Donald Trump thing. He's an outsider. He's not a politician. And look what happens. Look what the politicians are trying to do. Every day he must be destroyed. We can't let an outsider in. We can't show people that somebody who's not one of us can make things work.
We got to get him out of here.
Yeah, he's got to be
rid
ruined,
of him.
destroyed, humiliated, run out of town on a rail.
Right. We need.
And so, if there were to be a constitutional convention, and what Mr. Wagasback said, a citizen-driven constitutional convention, he says that's the only way it would work. Because if you got the same old people running your convention, you're going to come up with the same old results.
Right. That's so true.
And yet, if it were a citizen, given Trump as your example, and the way so many, not only Democrats, but even Republicans, are trying to destroy him. Imagine if there were a citizen-driven constitutional convention and citizens from just regular, everyday Joes and Josephines decided that they were going to be the ones to try to fix state government because the people who are running it have fouled it up. Imagine the blowback, the resistance. Ooh, there's a magic word that you would get from the political class.
Oh, boy.
29 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Local news is up next. Right now, Ruben has traffic on KEEL.
Everything's still looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near East Texas Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Warmer with clouds and sun today, high 72. Turning clear with a low of 54 tonight. Warmer, high 80 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Now, the power of information. KEEL News now.
SPD on the hunt for a bank robber. We get more on that from Matt Parker.
Shreveport police are on the hunt for Mark Longnecker, the man they believe is responsible for a Monday morning bank robbery. Police say that Longnecker allegedly brandished a gun at the Regions Bank on Pines Road and demanded money from the clerk. The suspect led police on a chase on I-220 before ultimately escaping into the woods. Police believe Longnecker is armed and dangerous. Police urge anyone with information on his whereabouts to call Crime Stoppers at 673-7373. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Legal fight involving SPD. Brian Poole, who was shot by police after a low-speed chase, has filed suit against the Shreveport Police Department. Poole, who pled guilty to aggravated flight from an officer and admits he was under the influence of drugs, claims that Corporal John Brasino had no reason to shoot him, and it should have been clear that he was no threat to the officer. Caddo grand jury reviewed the shooting and cleared the officer last year. Lawsuit filed against Shreveport and the MPC for discrimination, and the Caddo Commission is also in the suit. Judy Negretti's filed the lawsuit for alleged discrimination. In a letter from her lawyer, Negretti claims the MPC fired her for questioning why two of her fellow employees were let go. Her lawyer says Negretti acted as a whistleblower against age and race discrimination and was fired as retaliation by the MPC. Local civil rights leader Mamie Wallace has died. Wallace played a major role in bringing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Galilee Baptist Church back in 1962. Wallace was famous locally for telling people to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Mamie Wallace was 96. A proposal to increase fees for hunting and fishing licenses failed to get the necessary 70 votes to pass the House. The legislation would bring in about $6.8 million a year. Representative Blake Miguez says that beep, beep, beep. Stonewall Representative beep, beep, beep. Logansport Representative Larry Bagley says the public is not opposing this legislation, and he hopes there's another vote on the proposal.
You know, if it was a big group that were opposed to it that did that, I certainly would listen, but I have not heard that. I've heard members, but not citizens.
The Department of Health offering free STD and HIV testing this week at the Caddo Parish Health Unit. It's part of the CDC's Prevention Month for STDs. LDH officials say Louisiana has a higher STD rate than any other state, and it's important to get tested and try to end that trend. Police in Canada's largest city are piecing together witness accounts and surveillance video, trying to determine why a driver plowed a rental van along a crowded sidewalk, killing 10 people and injuring 15. 6 months after announcing an historic change, the Boy Scouts have started admitting girls into the Cub Scouts program. So far, about 3,000 girls have joined. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. I'm Erin.
Okay, got a question. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin, 636. Is all your stuff out of the pod? All your furniture?
No. Nothing's out of the pod yet.
What?
Nothing's out of the pod yet.
I thought you were taking yesterday off to depodify your furniture.
Well, we're going to start that, but we're doing the finishing touches on all the touch-ups, all the punch list you have to do.
The what?
The punch list. You have to have a punch list of everything that's got to be, like redo the baseboards and, all the stuff that put all the light fixtures back up.
Right.
And I had to do all the shelf liners and wash and dry all the curtains, get all that ready because they're putting all the curtain rods back up.
Yeah.
All the little stuff.
So it really hasn't been worth it yet.
Not yet. I'm still on an air mattress.
See, that's what?
Still on an air mattress.
See, that was going to be my question.
But furniture's arriving today, so I can at least sleep on a sofa tonight, which is a good thing. So I'll have a couple of sofas to sleep on.
So you're not even going to be depodified today?
I'm not sure. I got a potty, so I got one. I got a potty.
No.
Pottyfied.
Your stuff is in a pod.
Yes,
so
all my stuff's in a pod.
All your furniture is in one of those big pod rental units.
Yes.
So when I say depodify,
I haven't even opened. I'm scared to open it, to be honest. I could have gone in it and started getting kitchen stuff out and all that, but I'm scared to open it. It's just
But
too
you were
overwhelming.
You thought yesterday when you took yesterday off.
I was told there was going to be a one-day project to finish it
So
up,
it
but
hadn't
no,
been
it's
worth
not.
it yet, huh?
Not yet.
Oh,
not
man.
yet. Not yet. Not yet. But I'm
See-
light at the end of the tunnel.
Here's the deal. And Erin and I both, our houses 6 weeks ago were in basically the same state. Mm-hmm. Nice, efficient, functional,
Mine was nice. Mine needed a lot of work.
aging. Okay?
Yeah.
And we have both for some time been setting funds aside to update, to upgrade our respective homes.
Right.
When you had the mishap with the water heater,
I had to pull the trigger.
and you said, well, I may as well do it all now.
Pull the trigger, yeah.
And understand the reason for X number of years we haven't done this with our respective homes is, bluntly put, we don't want to mess up a nap.
Exactly.
Because workmen are there all day, they're banging stuff. It's a big mess,
Yeah.
and it screws up your life. Mm-hmm. So the point being, I continue to hesitate to do this work because I see that you're just not happy about this work.
Oh, but I'm so excited. It's almost done.
That's
We're
why
so close.
See, that's why I'm going to wait at least a week to 10 days before I make my final decision. Mm-hmm. Because my house is perfectly functional, everything works.
Yeah.
It's a little aging, but that's okay because so am I.
Right.
The point I'm making is, at some point, I'm going to say, was it worth it? And you're going to go, oh my God,
yes.
I live in a palace.
Yeah.
And I'm going to want to do the same
I
thing.
know.
But it ain't yet, right?
Right. Not yet. I've got a couple more days.
639, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. A chat yesterday with State U.S. Senator John Kennedy from the state of Louisiana. And he has a couple of things in the works, specifically when it comes to the Second Amendment, gun control, and big companies who seem to oppose the Constitution. That is coming up next. Right now, Ruben on KEEL.
Everything's still looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Old Minden Road near East Texas Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun with a warmer high of 72 today, then becoming clear, low 54 tonight. Sunny and warmer, high 80 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
So you think this entire construction project has affected her mood, her demeanor?
She's normally crazy.
Yeah.
But lately she's been like super
mad crazy.
She's got mad cow disease or some sort
Hey.
of weird ailment that
Don't
is
have
driving her to
deodorant on.
the edge.
That's not what you don't need to know about mad cow disease.
I don't.
641, it's 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Yesterday, in your absence, we had a visit with Senator John Kennedy.
Sorry I missed it.
We had both Solons on yesterday.
We've not done that, and we do it on the day I'm gone.
That was pretty awesome.
That sucks.
That was pretty awesome.
We gotta do it
Kennedy
again.
and Cassidy on the same day. and Congressman Mike Johnson this morning at 8:10.
Ooh.
So, we wanted to have Mr. John on to talk about this gun control stuff. Specifically, he's raising a little bit of a fuss about a lot of big banks, specifically banking groups. In this case, Citigroup is one of them, who have said no. If you have holdings, if you are a gun maker, a manufacturer, a retailer, and you are in any way connected with anybody who is selling guns to anybody under the age of 21, we're not going to do. Sorry, don't apply to us.
Right.
Don't ask us for money. Don't ask us for loans. Don't ask us for help. Now, Mr. John says, and I think with a great deal of justification, hold on a second. So you're penalizing people for obeying the law, for obeying the Constitution, for following the rules. You are deciding, much like an open border Democrat, to just ignore the law, ignore the Constitution, ignore what's good for the country, and just do whatever you want because for what? In fact, we talk about that. Why? What kind of political pressure must be? What kind of pressure? Who's leaning on these people? Or is it just because by their nature, they're far left-leaning East Coast Democrats? And we started off with that. Tell us about the letters you're going to write. Tell us who's involved. Just bring us up to speed on what's going on.
Well, I'm going to do more than fire a couple of letters. Here's what's going on. Citigroup and Bank of America have decided that they're going to make gun policy for the United States of America. Citigroup says it won't do business with anybody who sells guns to people who haven't passed a background check, which violates federal law. Citigroup won't sell a gun to anybody who's under 21, which violates state and local age discrimination laws. And it won't do business with anybody who sells high-capacity magazines. Bank of America says it'll no longer loan money to anybody that manufactures semi-automatic rifles. Now, you may say, well, these folks are in the private sector. They can do what they want. There's just one problem. The very people whose constitutional rights they're stepping on agreed to step up to the plate in 2008 and 2009 and bail Citigroup and Bank of America out. The American taxpayer gave about $476 billion, almost $500 billion to Citigroup to keep them from going broke. Gave Bank of America about $340 billion.
So you had, pardon me, Mr. You said a second ago, I'm going to do more than fire off a couple of letters. You're a United States Senator, but you can't really do. How do you put the pressure on these people to, as you just pointed out, follow the law to be fair? You're going to have to get a couple of other folks to go along with you, right?
Yes, Mike Crapo, who is the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, and I are talking about legislation. I'm filing a formal complaint with the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. I mean, imagine, Robert, if Citigroup announced tomorrow that it would no longer do business with anybody who supports Planned Parenthood. All hell would break loose. Imagine tomorrow if Citigroup announced that we're no longer going to do business with anybody in America who believes in the First Amendment, or who doesn't believe in climate change, or who does believe in climate change.
You know, Mr. John, we've talked about this, and we've had Tom Gresham. He's the host of Gun Talk, nationally syndicated show. It's on KEEL on Sunday. And he's made reference to the Michael Bloomberg, former New York mayor, and the millions and millions and millions that he has pumped into anti-gun groups. There must be a lot of heavyweights, a lot of anti-Second Amendment heavyweights who are leaning on these big banks. What do you think? What do you hear about that?
Well, I think that's true. And look, this is America. You can believe what you want. That's fine. If a bank wants to take a policy like that, that's fine. But you can't come crying to the American taxpayer if you get yourself in trouble. I mean, these gun owners, in part, and I'm one of them, gave Citigroup $476 billion. to keep them from going broke. Bank of America, we gave $336 billion, not million, billion. So you can't have it both ways. And if this were just a normal business, saying, hey, we're not going to do business with so-and-so, as long as it doesn't violate the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you can do that. But these banks are different. And I don't think we ought to have red banks and blue banks. That's where we're headed. We're headed to banks that say, well, if you voted for President Trump, we don't want your business. And banks that say, well, if you voted for Secretary Clinton, we don't want your business. I don't want red banks and blue banks. I want safe banks. I want banks that don't come crying to the American taxpayer when they make stupid decisions and get themselves in trouble.
But, John, at the end of the day, do you think that Citibank or any of these other great big banks that are growing more and more powerful by the day, by the way, do you think they really want to be red banks or blue banks, to use your lexicon, to use your phraseology? Or do you think that the pressure being put on them by the media, by the anti-gun groups when they see, the marches and stuff like that, are they just... Are they folding to the latest political wind?
Well, probably, but that doesn't mean they don't bear responsibility. Look, I try to be a good Methodist. I think the Lord gave us free will, but with free will goes responsibility. You're responsible for your actions. And I'll tell you this, I have written Governor Edwards and this entire State Bond Commission, Citigroup, and Bank of America have a lot of big old juicy consulting contracts with the people of Louisiana through the state. They make millions off the state of Louisiana. But yet they're going to turn around and condescend and look down their nose at those of us who believe in the Second Amendment. I've asked them to cancel the contracts. I mean, this free will stuff and you can do what you want within reason on the Constitution swings both ways. If Citigroup says it has a right to do this, we've got a right to say it. Great. On behalf of the taxpayers in Louisiana, the vast majority of whom support the Second Amendment, we're going to cancel your contracts, and I hope Governor Edwards does.
Good morning at 6:50. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Time for traffic update. Here's Ruben.
Everything's looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on North Market near North Hearn Avenue. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, clouds and sun with a warmer high of 72 today, then becoming clear, low 54 tonight, sunny and warmer, high 80 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Good morning, 6:51, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Sports update. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. In the LHSA baseball playoffs last night, Parkway knocked off Ponchatoula. It took 9 innings, but the Panthers advanced with a 2-1 win. And Shreve shut out Ruston 2-zip. More games on tap today. Garrett Cole only gave up 4 hits in his 7-inning work shift, but he still suffered his first loss as a Houston Astro. The 2-0 setback at home against the AL West rival Angels snapped a 6-game Stros winning streak. Oakland's Marcus Semien blasted a leadoff homer in the top of the ninth to break a 3-3 tie with the Rangers. The A's didn't stop there, adding 5 more runs in the frame on 3 singles and a pair of triples to beat Texas 9-4. Houston scored 50 points in the third quarter with James Harden accounting for 22 and the Rockets' red glaring of Minnesota 119-100. Houston leads the series 3-1 and will have a chance to close it out at home in Game 5. And Utah has grabbed a 3-1 series lead over Oklahoma City with a 113-96 win last night. Ed Orgeron was in town last night at the Tiger Tour stop at the Horseshoe Casino's Riverdome. We'll have Coach Orgeron on with us on 11:30 The Tiger this morning. LSU just wrapped up spring practices on Saturday. From the sports desk of 11:30 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Good morning, 6. Ooh.
You gotta turn the mic on.
I know. 6:54, but see, if you don't tell them, they don't know because they can't hear me.
They can hear you through my mic. Mine was on.
I can't hear. No.
Yes.
Music's playing. They don't know. You're throwing me under the bus.
That's okay. Let's
and
back
Matt
it up.
Matt is rubbing off on you. I know
Is
Matt.
it?
Matt is feeling better this morning.
Is he?
Because he is his old,
Surly self?
crotchety, angry, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
I am not angry or crotchety.
Rocking
You
chairs.
are you are so crotchety. You're the crotchetiest man in the building.
If people just would quit screwing up and do what they were supposed to, I wouldn't have to,
chew everybody out.
Yeah.
656, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. You know, every time we interview somebody, there at least, I would say, what do you think? 60, 75% of the time, at some point within 24 hours, we say to each other, we say, oh, man, you know what I should have asked?
Forgot to ask it.
Forgot to ask. In our chat yesterday with Senator Kennedy, and I even made a note, and we just did. It just went off in a different direction with the gun stuff and the banks, etc.
Did you ask him if he's running for governor?
No,
Forgot to ask that.
I didn't forget. What I forgot to ask was, and totally slipped my mind, and in the midst of this huge fight over the budget, that he was the Treasury guy. He was not Secretary. What's it called?
He was state treasurer.
State Treasurer. I always want to say
Sure.
Secretary of the Treasury, who figured out a way that the Treasury Department of the state of Louisiana is totally self-supporting.
Sure.
If you look at a breakdown of the Louisiana budget, do you know how much money the Treasury takes from the state? Do you know how much?
None.
Do you know how much money the state budgets for the Treasury?
None.
0. And I wanted to say, how did you do that?
Let's let everybody do that.
How did you do that? What was the plan? How did that work out?
Yeah.
And is it something you could put on a video and you could play it on YouTube
Teach everybody else.
for everybody else?
Yeah.
656, here's Rush on Keel.
The former mayor and nanny of New York City, Michael Bloomberg, was on Face the Nation Sunday, and he promised to put his own money toward the Paris Climate Agreement. That's the scam that President Trump got us out of. Bloomberg said that America made a commitment, but since the U.S. government will not keep the commitment, he's going to step up to the plate. He's going to cut a check for $4.5 million. Now, the United Nations wants $7.5 million from America. Congress has allocated $3 million before the president pulled us out. And Bloomberg says he's going to make up the difference. He said he hopes that President Trump will change his mind and rejoin the agreement. Now, President Trump was absolutely right to pull out of this. As a treaty, the Paris Agreement should have gone to the Senate for ratification, but Obama knew it wouldn't pass. So he sidestepped Congress and ratified it all by himself, calling it an agreement. So Congress had no business sending the UN climate scammers any money at all. In any event, if Michael Bloomberg insists on honoring commitments made by American presidents, here's an idea. How about committing a few $1,000,000 towards the wall, Mayor? Fat chance, right? Go for it. Surprise us. Today's technology makes things easier because everything's connected. Your cell phone, your tablet, even your smart TV, all connected to one account. And they're all connected to your Wi-Fi. It only takes just one weak link for a cyber thug criminal to break in and obtain your data. And that's why the new LifeLock identity theft protection now adds the power of Norton security to your devices. Now, while LifeLock uses proprietary technology to detect threats to your identity, the addition of Norton security helps protect up to 5 of your devices from online threats. And if there's a problem, LifeLock's agents will work to fix it. Now, of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But new LifeLock with Norton gives you more protection for today's connected world. Join now, get 10% off your first year. Go online to lifelock.com and enter the promo code RUSH. That's lifelock.com. Remember, promo code RUSH.
The intersection at Kings Highway and Linwood Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and sun with a warmer high of 72 today, then becoming clear, low 54 tonight. Sunny and warmer, high 80 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning. It's 7:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Back today. Lots of local news. Erin is up next.
Hunting and fishing license fee increases. We'll talk about that. A lawsuit involving the Metropolitan Planning Commission. That's coming up, too. And some tough words for some big banks.
Definitely want to talk a bit more about the hunting and fishing license proposed increases. There's a lot of stuff still going on in Baton Rouge that may not, it's not on the front pages, so to speak, but is certainly worth discussing. Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on Keel.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
A plan to increase fees for hunting and fishing licenses fails to get the necessary 70 votes to pass in the House. The legislation would raise an additional $6.8 million a year for wildlife and fisheries. The leaders say the increase is necessary to help sustain the department for years to come. But Representative Blake Miguez says if Wildlife and Fisheries needs more money, they can get it from the Conservation Fund.
The point I'm trying to make, Representative, is I think that this may be an issue in the future, but I don't think the issue here is today. I think we should wait and postpone this and see what happens.
Logansport Representative Larry Bagley says the public is not opposing this legislation, and he hopes there's another vote on that proposal. A Shreveport man shot by police is suing. Brian Poole, who was shot by SPD after a low-speed chase last year, has filed suit. Poole, who pled guilty to aggravated flight from an officer and admits he was under the influence of drugs, claims that Corporal John Brasino had no reason to shoot him, and it should have been clear that he was no threat to the officer. A Caddo grand jury reviewed the shooting and cleared Brasino last year. Lawsuit filed against the city and the MPC for discrimination. Matt Parker with that.
Judy Negreed has filed a lawsuit against the city of Shreveport, the MPC, and Caddo Commission for alleged discrimination. In a letter from her lawyer, Negreed claims that the MPC fired her for questioning why two of her fellow employees were let go from their jobs. Her lawyer says Negreed acted as a whistleblower against age and race discrimination and was fired as retaliation by the MPC. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
Local civil rights leader Mamie Wallace has died. Wallace played a major role in bringing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Galilee Baptist Church in 1962. Mamie Wallace was 96. Shreveport police are on the lookout for Mark Longenecker, the man they believe responsible for a Monday morning bank robbery in West Shreveport. He allegedly pulled a gun at the Regions Bank on Pines Road and demanded cash. He fled police and led them on a chase on 220 before ultimately escaping into the woods. Police believe Longenecker is armed and dangerous. Tough words for some of the nation's biggest banks. Senator John Kennedy blasting a policy by Citigroup and Bank of America, who now say they won't work with businesses that sell firearms to anyone under the age of 21. Kennedy says this is hypocrisy at its best.
I mean, imagine if Citigroup announced tomorrow that it would no longer do business with anybody who supports Planned Parenthood. All hell would break loose.
But he says these two big banks have been bailed out by the government, and he's not worried about the repercussions.
Or Citigroup gets mad at me, or this other group gets mad at me. They need to call somebody who cares.
Kennedy wants Louisiana to cancel any state contracts with these two banks. Big job news for the state. The governor and Formosa Petrochemical announcing an agreement to build a $9.4 billion plant in St. James Parish. Now, this will mean 1,200 full-time jobs with an average pay of more than $84,000 a year. St. James Parish President Timothy Roussel says it's a pretty big deal.
And you can only imagine what that'll do for our community because we got so many of these underemployed. They're chomping at the bit. They want some of these jobs.
8,000 construction jobs are expected to be created while the facility is built. The police chief in Toronto says a van plowing into a crowded sidewalk definitely looked deliberate. 10 people were killed and 15 people were hurt when the van jumped the sidewalk and continued for a mile, leaving people bloodied and dead. And Harley-Davidson is offering free motorcycles for those who join its summer internship program. 8 college students or recent grads will have the enviable task of being paid to ride a Harley and share their adventures on social media. And the best part? They get to keep their bikes at the end of the 12-week internship. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ten past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL traffic update. Ruben's here on KEEL.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Lakeshore Drive. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, turning warmer today, mostly sunny with a high of 80, clear to partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 55 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Art break.
I just woke someone up. I apologize.
No, you don't. 12 past 7 o'clock.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. No, you do it repeatedly. I'm not trying to bust you here, but you do.
I think 7 o'clock's a decent time when most people should be awake.
In much the same way. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. The KEEL app is a free download from Office Furniture Source. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, in much the same way. that when we were talking to State Representative Cruz and the way that I sort of referred to the governor, what I said was...
You called the governor insane.
Not exactly. What I said was the definition of insanity, if you're going to your meetings, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
You do the same thing over and over again, and
calling these special sessions
and repeatedly apologize. You just. Who did you just contact?
Allison Jones, local attorneys filed suit on behalf of a former MPC employee who says she was fired for age discrimination.
Right.
It's a big subject for a lot of folks.
Okay, so
and
here's
Allison's
the deal.
joining us this morning at 7:40.
We'll talk about this later. The
Okay.
point I'm going to make was that you call her, you wake her up.
Woke her up out of a dead sleep.
And the point I'm making is you say, oh, gosh, I didn't mean to. I heard the phone call. I didn't mean to wait. I apologize, but this is really, and I didn't mean, and I apologize. And but you do that 3 or 4 times a day.
And
the point I'm making is you apologize for it. Is your apology half-hearted?
No, I do. I am sorry to those people I awaken.
No, you're sorry they're asleep.
Well, that too. You need to get your butts up.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
Okay, the point is...
But some people work late hours, and they're not up at this time of day. And I understand
Erin
that.
rouses them from bed.
And I rouse them up.
The point I'm making is, in my reference to the governor in calling another special session, if you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, are you insane? I ask you.
Am I insane?
You do the same thing over and over again. I don't know what result you expect, other than you're going to wake people up. It's 6:45 in the morning, for God's sake.
You know what? It's okay. People expect that from me now. They expect me to call them at this god-awful hour.
And when you know how I can't believe they're not answering the phone. It's because they have you on the do not answer list, and they,
she did say I shouldn't be sleeping by my phone. Yeah, especially when it's me calling. Yeah.
So Ms. Jones will be joining us at about 7:40
This
or
is an intriguing lawsuit. Let me just tell you why. Because Judy was an employee with the MPC.
Judy who?
I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Nagreet, I believe is how you say her name. I'm not sure. We'll ask Allison. And she was terminated after she kind of blew the whistle and asked about 2 other employees who were fired, all of them over the age of 60. So this suit is claiming age discrimination. I think there's race discrimination as well that may be in the case. We're going to have to ask her and see. She's tried to go through the channels to get her job back, to win her job back, but has been unsuccessful. So now it looks like a lawsuit's on the way.
Tell me more about the status. Well, there's a lot of hunter folk and fisher folk listening. And this is, this gets back to what we've talked about forever, at least for the last month or 6 weeks or 5 years or whatever the hell. Should the purpose of the people of the state of Louisiana, should the purpose of things be to raise money for the state? So the state, the wildlife and fisheries, or whoever's in charge, I don't know. I'm from Palestine, Texas, a town of about 10,000 in East Texas, and I swear to you, I've never been hunting or fishing in my life. Well, fishing once, they made me go at camp.
Fishing licenses, they're talking about raising hunting and fishing licenses.
Okay, so why?
Because wildlife and fisheries apparently needs some funding.
For what?
That's part of for everything they do, I guess. You know, they monitor hunters and fishermen.
Or do they just decide unequivocally, we need more money?
But here's what I don't like. Listen to what they want to do. Listen to this. They want to raise the fishing license from $950. Sounds small, but keep that number in your brain. From $950 to $13.50 a year. That's $4. That's nearly a 50% increase. Who asks for a 50% increase in anything and thinks you can get away with it? If you almost half the price of a mattress
has the cost of their programs, and I don't know. I know that wildlife and fisheries, they're involved in a whole lot of stuff that hunters and fishermen say are great ideas. I don't believe me. This is an area in which I am totally ignorant, other than a department of state government is saying we don't. I apologize. Another Department of State Government is saying we don't have enough money and we need to raise our rates, our fees, our costs by almost 50%.
Now, the hunting licenses, for the hunters that are listening, the hunting license would go up from 15 to 20, which is a 33% increase if I'm doing the math right in my brain.
I don't know how you do it, but you're brilliant.
You know what? 33%'s even crazy.
Okay, and see,
that's just who writes this crap and then thinks, well, but we're going to buy it.
So, okay, the Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. I am not a fisherman. I do not hunt.
You're not a hunterman.
My idea of not a hunterman. My idea of hunting is I'll go into the butcher shop. The point being is I don't know, if not being a hunter or fisherman, if these fee increases are warranted. In other words, do you, as a hunterman or fisher, do you...
It's $10 million is what they would bring in.
Do you see this as a valid fee increase, or is it
Do we need the money for wildlife and fisheries?
I mean, look, I know they do a lot of great things.
Yeah, a lot of enforcement.
And conservation programs, etc.
Buy a lot of boats.
But I don't know. Do you as a hunter person or fishing guy or gal, do you see the need for those state departments? Is another money grab warranted?
But, by the way, the House failed to pass the increases. They couldn't get the necessary 70 votes, but I don't think it's fully dead yet.
Or is it just like, well, everybody else wants more. Everybody else is asking for more money, demanding more money. We have to also.
Well, they said that they, basically their budget's been cut by $70 million or something since 2010, I believe it was. So they're like, we're trying to save the state here where we don't completely crumble. We need something. So if you won't give us money, let us raise it through another way. And, So.
That's
I need
my
a
question.
padlock on my pocketbook.
That's my question.
Stay out of it.
Are the things that wildlife and fisheries does in the eyes of hunter folk and fisher people, are the things they do, are they warranted, and are you willing to pay more for the services they provide if, in fact, that they are on the chopping block as the budget moves forward? 19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic and weather updates coming up right now. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Kings Highway and Linwood Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Good morning. It's 23 past 7 o'clock, time for Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. In the LHSA baseball playoffs last night, Parkway knocked off Ponchatoula. It took 9 innings, but the Panthers advanced with a 2-1 win. And Shreve shut out Ruston 2-zip. More games on tap today. Garrett Cole only gave up 4 hits in his 7-inning work shift, but he still suffered his first loss as a Houston Astro. The 2-0 setback at home against the AL West rival Angels snapped a 6-game Stros winning streak. Oakland's Marcus Semien blasted a leadoff homer in the top of the ninth to break a 3-3 tie with the Rangers. The A's didn't stop there, adding 5 more runs in the frame on 3 singles and a pair of triples to beat Texas 9-4. Houston scored 50 points in the third quarter, with James Harden accounting for 22 and the Rockets' red glaring of Minnesota 119-100. Houston leads the series 3-1 and will have a chance to close it out at home in Game 5. And Utah has grabbed a 3-1 series lead over Oklahoma City with a 113-96 win last night. Ed Orgeron was in town last night at the Tiger Tour stop at the Horseshoe Casino's Riverdome. LSU just wrapped up spring practices on Saturday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
.107 FM and 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 26 after 7 o'clock. Okay, so we got a couple of calls, and people said, I don't mind paying. Mm-hmm. I don't mind paying.
We do have the lowest, I've been doing a little research, and we do have the lowest hunting and fishing license fees pretty much. Like Texas is 25, Colorado's way more than that.
But does the state do a good job? And that's, I think, what here for Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. As long as the money is actually being used correctly, maybe talking about a hunting license fee increase of how much?
$5 from 15 to 20.
So 30% increase, 33%, and
the fishing license fee would go from $9.50 to $13.50 a year.
About a 40% increase.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the money is actually being used correctly, maybe. It is Louisiana, and the money will go in someone's pockets. Hashtag we broke. See, that's the question.
Yeah.
That we talk all the time about why things in Texas or other places. Let me phrase it this way. Do you think the State Department, and I don't know, admittedly, maybe this is the only efficient, well-run, top-notch department in the state of Louisiana? I don't know. This is one area I know nothing about. So my question to huntermen and fisher folk are, does the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries do a good job? If their budget is being cut, are you willing to pay more? Do you feel you're getting the bang for the buck? As opposed to the DMV or Department of Transportation and Destruction or whatever else it happens to be.
People seem to like the DWF. They really do. They think the agency is good, and for the most part, all the texts and email messages we're getting.
It's what we talked about before. If you are running, like we used when we had Dr. Ghali or Jim Henderson on.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Henderson, the head of the University System of Louisiana. Dr. Ghali over at University Health, the chancellor. And look, they're in charge of the equivalent of a business, okay? And they know what it takes to run that business, and they know how much money they're used to getting from the state. Well, suddenly the state is cutting back. That's all they know, is that the state is cutting back. But the person who is funding that department through the state bureaucracy, you and me and Matt and Erin and everybody, all we know is that the state says we need more money. And we don't know where it all goes.
Right.
You know, it's bluntly put. Look at the levees. Look at Katrina. Well, you know, there was $20-something million set aside to shore up the levees. We know where $2 million of it went. Where'd the rest go? Nobody just seemed to, and worst of all, nobody seems to care.
Yeah.
So the question is, as I've brought up 100,000 times, there is this bureaucracy, this money filter in Baton Rouge known as state government. And all our money goes there. And it comes out, but how much of it comes out and goes to the right thing, and how much of it gets
siphoned into someone's pocket,
gets kept for reasons whatever. Look, of all the people you may not have anticipated this answer from was Senator Greg Tarver. When you asked him, just like you asked every legislator that we've had on over the past month, why can't every state department, you say to everybody, you said to Mr. Gregg and you said to Raymond Cruz,
Governor,
everybody, why can't every state department just make a mandate, cut 10%, make it work, figure out a way?
Right.
And what Greg Tarver said was...
That was so prophetic.
What he said was, because the first thing they do is cut services.
They would cut the things that would hurt the most.
Okay, so when Tarver says that, and John Bell talks about these are the cuts we're going to have to make if I don't get my tax increases, if I don't get my revenue enhancement, if I don't get my registration increases, then we're going to have to cut A or B or C, and people start wincing. And he says, look, those are the cuts we have to make. Times are tough. And yet you realize what Greg Tarver said, and those two just don't connect sometimes. 29 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Line Avenue just south of East 70th Street. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Westgate Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
SPD on the hunt for a bank robber. We get more on that from Matt Parker.
Shreveport police are on the hunt for Mark Longnecker, the man they believe is responsible for a Monday morning bank robbery. Police Police say that Longnecker allegedly brandished a gun at the Regions Bank on Pines Road and demanded money from the clerk. The suspect led police on a chase on I-220 before ultimately escaping into the woods. Police believe Longnecker is armed and dangerous. Police urge anyone with information on his whereabouts to call Crime Stoppers at 673-7373. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Legal fight involving SPD Brian Poole, who was shot by police after a low-speed chase, has filed suit against the Shreveport Police Department. Poole, who pled guilty to aggravated flight from an officer and admits he was under the influence of drugs, claims that Corporal John Brasino had no reason to shoot him, and it should have been clear that he was no threat to the officer. Caddo grand jury reviewed the shooting and cleared the officer last year. Lawsuit filed against Shreveport and the MPC for discrimination, and the Caddo Commission is also in the suit. Judy Negretti's filed the lawsuit for alleged discrimination. In a letter from her lawyer, Negretti claims the MPC fired her for questioning why two of her fellow employees were let go. Her lawyer says Negretti acted as a whistleblower against age and race discrimination and was fired as retaliation by the MPC. Local civil rights leader Mamie Wallace has died. Wallace played a major role in bringing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Galilee Baptist Church back in 1962. Wallace was famous locally for telling people to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Mamie Wallace was 96. A proposal to increase fees for hunting and fishing licenses failed to get the necessary 70 votes to pass the House. The legislation would bring in about $6.8 million a year. Logansport Representative Larry Bagley says the public is not opposing this legislation, and he hopes there's another vote on the proposal.
You know, if it was a big group that were opposed to it that did that, I certainly would listen, but I have not heard that. I've heard members, but not citizens.
The Department of Health offering free STD and HIV testing this week at the Caddo Parish Health Unit. It's part of the CDC's Prevention Month for STDs. LDH officials say Louisiana has a higher STD rate than any other state, and it's important to get tested and try to end that trend. Police in Canada's largest city are piecing together witness accounts and surveillance video, trying to determine why a driver plowed a rental van along a crowded sidewalk, killing 10 people and injuring 15. 6 months after announcing an historic change, the Boy Scouts have started admitting girls into the Cub Scouts program. So far, about 3,000 girls have joined. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Uh, 737, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin. Okay, so Matt has the wildlife and fisheries numbers you have, and I have the chart that you sent to me last week, the numbers you sent to me last week.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about the hunting and fishing license increases. Pardon me, the print is small. I have to move this way, so bear with me. Hold on. I mean, this is bothersome. I'm not getting any younger, you know. Okay, Allison Jones, line 2.
We need to get him a magnifying glass.
General Appropriations History, State General Fund by Department, and Wildlife and Fisheries is starting with 2004 and moving forward. You ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Put your mic closer to where your thing is. There you go.
It won't go. Okay.
He He's got his eyes 1 inch from the computer.
Have you seen the print? Have you seen the print that you sent me?
You can blow it up, you know.
No, it won't expand.
Such an old guy.
I'm getting old. Okay, wildlife and fisheries by department. Here we go. Starting in 2004. Ready?
Ready.
100,000, 0, 200,000, 400,000, 100,000, 100,000, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. The Department of Wildlife and Fisheries from the general fund budget of the state has not gotten a dime since 2005, 2006. So that's not what they say. Pardon the shaking. And that's not what you have in front of you.
No, this is from the story yesterday when they were trying to, make their last-minute pitch. Wildlife and Fisheries officials say they need the increase to offset a $65 million loss in state funding since 2009. So,
but I mean, so we have 700,000 licensed fishermen. You do the math at $9.50 a pop. Let's say it's 10. That's $70 million.
Okay,
right?
But they're talking about $65 million in cuts, but they're not getting anything from the state. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So what's
so that's your own. You have fewer huntermen and fishermen.
I have. I
guess
that wouldn't be a cut.
That's not state funding. That would be.
No, I'm saying I have the chart that you sent me. General appropriations history, state general fund by department. The wildlife and fisheries, according to this, has not received a dime in more than 10 years.
Well, what I see here is that these increases are needed to offset financial gaps. So it's not saying cuts; it's saying gaps in their funding. Which, in my view, hang on, let me make my point. In my view, if you have fewer dollars coming in, it's simply because you have fewer fishermen and huntermen.
Exactly.
And that's not my fault.
I'm not disagreeing. What I'm saying
that means you have fewer people to patrol, so you don't need as many boats and
obviously
four-wheelers and all that.
Whatever monies from whatever source are headed your way are less than they were. But the point is, when in the story that Matt had, well, there's budget cuts. You don't have a budget. I mean, you don't get any money from the state.
It's all from your fees.
Yeah, whatever your budget is fee-based. You're not getting a dime from the state of Louisiana General Fund. 739, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Attorney Allison Jones joins us momentarily. Is the Cattle Commission being sued, and why?
And why you may need her to retain her soon.
I can't see that far. Traffic update. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Uri Drive and Southfield Roads dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, turning warmer today, mostly sunny with a high of 80, clear to partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 55 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 742. Allison Jones is a local attorney. Good morning, Miss Allison. How are you today? Thank you for taking time for us.
Good morning. I'm doing great. Happy to help you.
Sorry for waking you up.
She's not, really.
It's okay.
No, she's not, I promise.
I'm up now.
Yeah, well, if Erin had her way, everyone within a 100-mile radius would be up now.
Allison, looks like you are prepared to file suit on behalf of Judy Negrete who was an employee with the Metropolitan Planning Commission who was terminated. Explain her story to folks who are not familiar first.
Well, my client is a long-term employee of the city, the Shreveport Municipal Planning Commission, and has served as a management assistant for close to 8 years, I believe. She experienced, beginning in January of 2016, retaliation and discrimination by her executive director, Mr. Sweeney. I wrote a letter on her behalf at that time pointing out that she and others who were over the age of, in fact, 60, were being told that they were being terminated. And what you had there then was the three oldest, most experienced employees being told they were being terminated and being replaced by younger employees. So when I wrote that letter in January of 2016, the city or the commission backed off of that particular strategy, and she was allowed to retain her job. But she experienced retaliation as a result of that. Her duties were taken away from her. She was told that her job was on the line every day. And then in late 2017, she began reporting violations of state law. She reported payroll irregularities, and amazingly enough, within a matter of weeks after she reported this and reasserted her claims of discrimination, her employment was terminated. And it was terminated under the guise of budgetary problems. However, when you do an analysis of the budget, A, there was plenty of money to pay her. It was a matter of priorities. And B, her job was replaced by two younger employees. So I think what we have here is we have very strong claims of age discrimination. And more recently, we have very strong claims of whistleblower retaliation. So what I did yesterday was I filed the charge with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission later last week, and I've pointed this out to the City Council, to the Caddo Parish Commission, and to the Shreveport Municipal Planning Commission to see if we can get it corrected, and if not, then she's going to have to file suit.
Go ahead, Robert.
You said that she was told that she was being dismissed, terminated, etc., because of budget cuts, budget problems. But going back to 2016, when she says the problems began, what reasons was she given at the time for her job being on the line, to use your words?
Well, the initial reason was budgetary constraints, too. And then after she made her complaint, amazingly enough, if you look at the budget, you can find plenty of money in the budget for this. It's just that other people were receiving raises and she was not. In fact, out of all the employees, there was a evaluation process where in order to get a raise, you had to get an Excel on your evaluation. And yet when we looked at the paperwork, we noticed that one of the employees had not received an Excel, but they got a raise, and that the evaluation had been whited out, we believe, by Mr. Sweeney in order to justify that raise, and thus then claim budgetary constraints such that my client and really the other two employees who were over the age of 40 and all of your experience in that department was out of there.
Well, let me ask you this. In Judy's case, when she was fired, you said earlier, then she was, for budget reasons, she was fired, but then she was replaced? That doesn't make sense.
By two younger employees.
That simply doesn't make sense if it was a budget cut, right?
Well, I agree. And I think that that's something that is, we're prepared to make that inquiry of what is the budget here, how is this budget determined, who's given the authority to establish this budget, and are you allowing somebody the authority to establish a budget that's using it to retaliate or discriminate? And that's certainly the inquiry we're going to make in any litigation.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase aim small, miss small. The MPC is not the only entity that is aware of this situation, right?
That's right. The MPC is an interesting creature. It's governed by a board that's appointed half by the City of Shreveport, half by the Caddo Parish Commission, and I think there may be another appointee in there. But the bottom line is the City of Shreveport and the Parish Commission can come in and correct this situation. We believe they have an executive director who's a little bit out of control, doesn't have enough supervision. And I think, recently we've heard complaints from the business community about how that Shreveport Planning Commission the MPC is being run, and the difficulties they're having getting permitting. And I think if you look at some of the decisions that have been made there are a lot of questions that need to be asked by the city of Shreveport or the Caddo Parish Commission. Somebody needs to come in and say, A, is this what we want to do for the growth of Shreveport? And B, is this how we want to treat our most experienced employees?
So are you and your client considering action against the city of Shreveport and the Caddo Commission also?
Yes. Yesterday I sent a letter to everyone and said, look, you have an opportunity to get this fixed. I filed with the EESC. I'm getting ready to file suit, but we need a leader. We need somebody to come in and look at this and say, this is not good for Shreveport. This is not good for our community. And it certainly was discriminatory and retaliatory against my client.
What do you have to prove? We're talking to Allison Jones, attorney. What do you have to prove age discrimination or race discrimination? In this case, these are three Caucasian folks is this going to be a race discrimination suit as well?
Yes, the EEOC charge alleges race and age, and because when you look at it, the only targeted employees were your older, more experienced white employees. Now, two have gone, one's retired and one has gone off to find another job, but my client stayed, was committed to this process and to helping the business leaders of this community and wanted to do her job. And so when you look at who's targeted in these alleged budgetary cuts, clearly there's a suspicion raised. In order to prove age discrimination, you have to prove that age was the determinative factor.
That's
there's
tough,
a
right?
but-for test.
Isn't that
I'm
okay?
sorry?
Go ahead. There's 4 tests, you say?
No, that you have to prove that but for her age, she would not have been treated this way. If you look at the allegation that's been said about budgetary constraints, you can clearly challenge that as pretextual when you look at the budget. So then the burdens shift back and forth, and it's a different burden for race discrimination. In race discrimination, you have to only prove that race was the motivating factor. So there's a lot of variables here. We have 3 really strong claims. Her strongest claim, I believe, is that within weeks of reporting payroll irregularities, somebody who was claiming overtime who wasn't working, their hours were 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning when there was no business going on there. Why do you get overtime for that time, and what for? Then I think once she reported that, you have violations of state law that she's reported, and then all of a sudden, once again, she's being proposed for termination under a pretext of budgetary constraints. There's a lot of questions to be asked as to what's going on at the Shreveport MPC.
What's the remedy for your client? Does she want her job back? Does she want a settlement? What does she want?
I think my job would like to see the MPC cleaned up. I think she would like for somebody to come in and take control and make sure that you don't have leadership that is not doing the best that it needs to do for the community and for the city. I think she certainly would like to be made whole with respect to her salary. Her salary has dropped almost, I believe, $36,000, maybe a little more. And then, of course, she's experienced emotional distress as a result of the 2 years of fighting all of this within, her role as a manager.
When you say she wants the MPC cleaned up, does that mean that she wants Mr. Sweeney removed?
I think there's no question that my client believes that Mr. Sweeney needs to be removed, but that's not her decision to make. That's the board's decision and or the city of Shreveport's decision or the Caddo Parish Commission's decision. The way it's structured, somebody needs to come in and make a decision as to how this board needs to be run. Now, I understand that today at the city council meeting, there's an ordinance that's going to be considered to restructure the MPC. I'm watching that ordinance with interest. I don't know what decision they're going to make. I'm sure there's going to be healthy debate about that. But, besides meeting the remedies of my clients, there's a community here, and particularly a large business community, that is very upset as to what's going on at the Shreveport MPC under this particular leadership.
Allison Jones, local attorney, thank you so much for your time again. Sorry to wake you this morning early.
It's all right. No problem. Thank you.
Don't say it's all right. No, ma'am. Don't say that's all right, Erin. This one time is okay. You're a lawyer.
Go back a ways.
You're a lawyer. Wording is very important. Thank you, Miss Allison.
All right, thank you.
752, it's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Line Avenue just south of East 70th Street. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Westgate Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Good morning, 754. KEEL Sports is on the way. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. In the LHSA baseball playoffs last night, Parkway knocked off Ponchatoula. It took 9 innings, but the Panthers advanced with a 2-1 win. And Shreve shut out Ruston 2-0. More games on tap today. Garrett Cole only gave up 4 hits in his 7-inning work shift, but he still suffered his first loss as a Houston Astro. The 2-0 setback at home against the AL West rival Angels snapped a 6-game Stros winning streak. Oakland's Marcus Semien blasted a leadoff homer in the top of the ninth to break a 3-3 tie with the Rangers. The A's didn't stop there, adding 5 more runs in the frame on 3 singles and a pair of triples to beat Texas 9-4. Houston scored 50 points in the third quarter with James Harden accounting for 22 and the Rockets' red glaring of Minnesota 119-100. Houston leads the series 3-1 and will have a chance to close it out at home in Game 5. And Utah has grabbed a 3-1 series lead over Oklahoma City with a 113-96 win last night. Ed Orgeron was in town last night at the Tiger Tour stop at the Horseshoe Casino's Riverdome. LSU just wrapped up spring practices on Saturday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
I'm so happy today.
756, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright. Ooh, we got to go. We're running late. Just changed. Here's Hannity, and he's on KEEL.
Waking up on the right side. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
All these Trump-hating snowflakes in the education system are now taking their frustrations out on the president and conservatives in newly published textbooks. Now, the Daily Caller reports that an AP U.S. history textbook set to release in 2019 contains anti-Trump, anti-conservative, and Christian bias. Now, in the textbook, NYU professor James Frazier portrays Christians, conservatives, and President Donald Trump as bigots who fear fear non-white ethnicities. Now, one section of the book, entitled The Angry Election of 2016, described Clinton supporters as, quote, worried about the mental stability of the president-elect and that the anger that he and his supporters brought to the nation. And I wonder if the author reminds students of Hillary's mishandling of classified information.
From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
Hi, can I help you?
Yes, I have a snoring problem.
Can you describe it for me, please?
Well, it's about 5'11" with curly hair and a mustache.
Oh, I see.
Mute is the latest in snoring technology from Australia that may be the solution to your 5'11" snoring problem, letting you finally get a good night's sleep. Snoring is not normal and happens when we breathe through our mouth instead of our nose. Mute is a comfortable nasal dilator that sits inside the nose and supports the airway, allowing snorers to breathe more easily through their nose and keep their mouth closed during sleep. Trials show that 75% of couples are able to enjoy a good night's sleep together when their partner uses Mute. Mute is effective, easy to use, and may just be your answer to a good night's sleep. Mute is available at Walgreens, GNC, and your local drugstore. Find your nearest store at mutesnoring.com. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better.
The intersection of Erie Drive and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now, and we're still looking at some heavy backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zane.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
3 past 8 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Back today and snazzily attired. Erin has local news. It's up next.
A Shreveport man is suing the police department. A local woman could be suing the city and the MPC and the parish. That's coming up, too. And hunting and fishing license fee increases.
Let's get inside the new Bossier School District policy on faculty involvement in prayer, or lack of involvement in prayer. Congressman Mike Johnson, he is an expert on that. He's going to join us in less than 10 minutes. Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all here this hour, and it's coming up on Keel.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
A Shreveport man shot by police suing. Matt Parker with that.
Brian Poole, who was shot by Shreveport police after a low-speed chase in 2017, has filed a lawsuit against the Shreveport Police Department. Poole, who pled guilty to aggravated flight from an officer and admits he was under the influence of drugs, claims that Corporal John Bracino had no reason to shoot him and it should have been clear that he was no threat to the officer. A Caddo grand jury reviewed the shooting and cleared Bracino last year. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
SPD looking for Mark Longenecker, the man they believe is responsible for a Monday morning bank robbery in West Shreveport. Police believe he allegedly pulled a gun at the Regions Bank on Pines Road and demanded cash. The suspect led police on a chase on 220 before ultimately escaping into the woods. Police believe Longenecker is armed and dangerous. They urge anyone with information on his whereabouts to call Crime Stoppers at 673-7373. Tough words for some of the nation's biggest banks. Senator John Kennedy blasting a policy by Citigroup and Bank of America, who now say they won't work with businesses that sell guns to anyone under the age of 21. But he says these two big banks have been bailed out by the government.
This is America. You can believe what you want. That's fine. If a bank wants to take a policy like that, that's fine. But you can't come crying to the American taxpayer if you get yourself in trouble. I mean, these gun owners, in part, and I'm one of them, gave Citigroup $476 billion.
Kennedy has written harsh letters to the leaders of the banks, and he wants Louisiana to cancel any state contracts with Citigroup and Bank of America. A lawsuit filed against the city and the MPC for discrimination. Judy Negretti's filed suit against Shreveport, the MPC, and the Caddo Commission for alleged discrimination. In a letter from her attorney, Negretti claims the MPC fired her for questioning why two of her fellow co-workers were let go from their jobs. Her lawyer says Negretti acted as a whistleblower against age and race discrimination and was fired as retaliation by the MPC. A proposal to boost fees for hunting and fishing licenses failed to get the necessary 70 votes to pass the House. The legislation would have brought in $6.8 million a year. It would also consolidate the number of licenses from 117 to 35 and actually lower some fees. But Representative Blake Miguez says he's fine with a consolidation of licenses, but his constituents are not happy about a fee increase.
If I'm a hunter or a fisher back in my district, I'm looking at this thing, I'm thinking I want it to be consolidated, but why do I have to pay a fee increase to get good government?
Local civil rights leader Mamie Wallace has died. Wallace played a major role in bringing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Galilee Baptist Church back in 1962. Wallace was famous locally for telling people to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. She was 96. Department of Health offering free STD and HIV testing this week at the Caddo Health Unit. Testing is part of the Centers for Disease Control's STD Prevention Month. Opioid overdoses killed more than 1,300 Americans ages 65 and older in 2016, but Medicare doesn't cover the oldest proven treatment, methadone. A White House commission, the nation's governors, and addiction experts have called for Medicare to start paying for treatment in methadone clinics. Former President George H.W. Bush hospitalized with an infection in his blood. This comes just days after he attended the funeral for his wife, Barbara. And a veteran who lost his genitals from a blast in Afghanistan has gotten the world's most extensive penis transplant. Johns Hopkins University surgeons rebuilt the man's entire pelvic region in an operation that took 14 hours. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Good morning, 10 past 8 o'clock. KEEL traffic update. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye on some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. And we have some traffic delays on Benton Road, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 12 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Congressman Mike Johnson is here for a little bit. Hey, Mr. Mike, how are you this morning?
Hey, my friends, doing well.
Well, you're not here today as a congressman. Well, yeah, kind of, but more as a lawyer, to be precise, a constitutional lawyer. There are specifics now. There is a new... how would I phrase it? A new
policy
put in place by the Bossier City School Board, the school district, on how teachers, what they can and can't do when students start to pray. Give us a little background on that. Tell us more about this Freedom from Religion Foundation and the purpose.
Your buddies.
Yeah, right. And the purpose in your mind for these Bossier changes.
Well, listen, this is my personal opinion, okay? I'm not the attorney for the board anymore, obviously, because I'm serving in Congress. But I used to be their attorney on a number of these matters, and I did this all around the country. And you're right, this other group was one of our nemesis organizations. They have a radical view of the country, and they're on a search and destroy mission for all things religious. But, I mean, I did this for nearly 20 years, as you guys know. I fought landmark religious liberty battles successfully in federal courts around the country, and for most of my career, I was a senior attorney for the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is America's largest religious liberty defense organization. Our mission there was to keep the door open for the spread of the gospel. So that's my perspective and my viewpoint. You should know that. And, we fought tooth and nail on every single issue over all those years where there was a hint of any small chance to defend or advance religious freedom. And we won 90% of our cases. But what we got, and, I previously represented Bossier. I mean, in the 2005 case at Stockwell Place, they were challenged for the nativity scene display and equal access for Christian clubs. We won that one. In 2015, people remember ACLU. The ACLU went after Airline High School because the FCA had a prayer request box in the student display area, and the principal used God bless you in an email. Everybody remembers that. So we fought there because we knew we were right on the law and the facts and that we could prevail in court. Right now, we've got a different situation, and this is what people have to recognize, that this latest case is different because the plaintiffs here, they gathered more than 5,000 pages and recordings of school documents under a Freedom of Information Act request before they filed the suit. And they presented all this hard evidence to the court of clear violations of very well-established law. Now, let me clarify this by saying, guys, this is not what we think the law should be, okay? That's not the question. The question is, what is the current state of the law, whether we agree with it or not? And in the school district, they had to answer the lawsuit under oath, so they had no choice but to admit to the well-documented facts. And they had no choice but to update their written policies. They're under penalty of law here. This is what the courts require. They have zero choice in the matter. So if anybody's upset with the school district or school board officials, their frustration is misplaced. It needs to be on the courts and what's happened in the courts over the last, 50, 60 years. That's the problem.
Does this policy change? Is it going to satisfy the lawsuit, do you think?
I think it moots the lawsuit, and it's exactly, precisely what the district had to do. They had no choice in it. People say, why don't they just keep, fighting this in court? Why don't they keep litigating? Well, Erin, this is a really important point. Now, people have to understand the board is fighting vigorously on every available inch of ground to preserve religious freedom for the students, right? The board members ought to be applauded for those efforts. But if you fight on well-settled points of law, teachers praying with students, for example, that issue was decided by the courts 60 years ago, 50 years ago. If you fight on it, it's totally futile. It's even counterproductive because consider this. If they keep fighting, they're going to risk, number one, a terrible court precedent that could be used as a weapon by atheist litigation groups, as some new weapon in their arsenal to further attack and erode students' rights to religious expression. And number two, it could risk an enormous adverse attorney fee award, and taxpayer dollars are scarce in this parish as elsewhere. And that attorney fee award goes to the atheist groups when they win. It'll just be used by the groups to further advance their radical secularist agenda nationwide. So why in the world would we want to contribute to that as taxpayers out here? And then third, it creates further confusion. We've got a lot of well-intended students and parents, teachers, coaches, school officials in our area. They genuinely want to understand and support students' rights and uphold these cherished traditions in every way that's legally possible. When you obscure the matter, it makes it more difficult for everybody. So I'm just saying, this board, they have no choice in this matter. They are stuck. The law is the law, whether we like it or not. And there's ways to change the law, but we got to do it through the courts, and it's going to take us decades to turn back this tide.
Mr. Mike, to what degree do you think that the Bossier, that the school boards, that the school district's legal counsel went in writing that policy?
They went right up to the line that they were forced to go by the court precedent. I mean, guys, if we had time, I could walk you through all these courses. I mean, for decades, there are volumes of case law specifically prohibiting teachers and coaches from leading or participating in student prayers. I mean, Lee versus Wiseman, Supreme Court, 1992, Abington v. Shemp, 1963.
Pardon me, my question was going to be, I mean, when you get into such hair-splitting detail as if a student is praying or students are praying, that teachers on the scene can't bow their heads, are there instances of this kind of hair-splitting detail, to use my term again, in other districts and other cases around the country, or is this a first?
No, it's been well decided in many cases, and in the Fifth Circuit. That's the important point. We're in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. That's Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. That's the last step before you go to the Supreme Court. So we have Supreme Court precedent and Fifth Circuit Court precedent that requires this. But what does it mean in common practice? That's the big question of the morning, right? I had a public school teacher in Bossier stop me at church on Sunday, and she said, "What if I'm standing along the wall of the gym during a genuinely student-led, student-initiated prayer? Does this mean I can't bow my head anymore?" And I said, look, the answer is that common sense has to be applied in every situation, right? The written policy prohibits teacher participation in prayer because the Supreme Court and the Fifth Circuit say it must do that, right? But here's the thing. You have to apply common sense. The question is, the courts have said that teachers and coaches and all that can show respect and deference, quote unquote, to student religious beliefs. Is quietly bowing your head while you're standing along the back wall of the gym showing reverence and respect, or does it cross the line into a so-called state endorsement of religion? The courts use a reasonable observer analysis. What would a reasonable observer see in that simple act? Would they say that that's an endorsement, a state endorsement of religion? Or would, I think we could argue, a reasonable person would see that as a personal act of reverence and respect. And I don't know if a plaintiff would file a suit over that subtle thing. I think it would be crazy if they did. But if we had that case in isolation, man, we'd fight tooth and nail on it. But the problem is we have this long trail of facts that these districts have to deal with, and they just simply don't have a choice. They have to follow the law because they've taken an oath to do that. And so, any frustration, again, is directed towards the courts, not to the public officials who are having to abide by this stuff. They don't like it any more than any of the rest of us.
Mike, let me ask you, there's one piece of this that troubles me, and it's regarding reading the Bible. It says that students can read the Bible or other religious texts before or after school hours, during lunch or recess, or during time set aside for student club meetings. So if my son or daughter finishes their work during class and decides to pull out the Bible and start reading the Bible during class, that's illegal.
No. That's not illegal. And what the policy is saying is, where the courts are on that, they say Bible reading, private religious expression, totally fine if it's on their own time. In other words, you can't pull out your Bible in the middle of an algebra assignment and say you want to do that instead, right? I mean, that's just common sense. But if they're on their own time, they always have the right. And that's the important point here, Erin.
But it says permitted before or after school hours only. That's why I'm like, why'd they have to pin it down? You follow me?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, look, I don't have the language in front of me, but the district is very clear and very resolved. They're going to defend students' rights every inch. And that's, we've had assemblies out there. They're promoting the materials. Attorney General Jeff Landry and I published the Louisiana Students' Rights Review to hammer that point home. They sent it around to in Bossier, they sent it around to every family in the school district to say these are students' rights. They're vigorously defending those. So, students don't shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. That's an axiom in the law that's been there since the '60s. So they're going to vigorously defend that. I mean, they're doing the best they can under a difficult situation. I know the board members in Bossier and Webster, for that matter. Look, most of these people are Bible-thumping evancilicals, okay? They don't want to do this. Their hands are tied by activist courts. And, guys, this is a battle that we've been waging for decades. It goes back to the 60s. We've lost a lot of those. And the reason we lost is because people of faith, basically allowed it to happen. I mean, the church effectively was asleep at the wheel for several decades. So here we are. How do we change it? Elections have consequences. You have to elect presidents who believe in the Constitution, who are conservative, who will appoint conservative judges, and then we gradually turn back the tide in the courts. There's some hope that we can do that now, but it's not going to happen overnight. In the meantime, public officials, they take an oath to uphold the Constitution and respect the law. They have no choice in the matter, and that's where this situation is.
Congressman Mike Johnson, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
21 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Traffic update, weather update. Here's Ruben on KEEL.
Keeping an eye right now on some backed up traffic on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. And we have some traffic delays on Shed Road near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-four past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. In the LHSA baseball playoffs last night, Parkway
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
break a 3-3 tie with the Rangers. The A's didn't stop there, adding 5 more runs in the frame on 3 singles and a pair of triples to beat Texas 9-4. Houston scored 50 points in the third quarter with James Harden accounting for 22 and the Rockets' red glaring of Minnesota 119-100. Houston leads the series 3-1 and will have a chance to close it out at home in Game 5. And Utah has grabbed a 3-1 series lead over Oklahoma City with a 113-96 win last night. Ed Orgeron was in town last night at the Tiger Tour stop at the Horseshoe Casino's Riverdome. LSU just wrapped up spring practices on Saturday. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Twenty-five past 8, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. If you could push the button right now. Erin McCarty, Constitutional Convention button pusher, yes or no?
Ooh, yeah.
Have things gotten so bad? Is the process so corrupted, perhaps too strong a word? Is the machinery so dysfunctional that it's time? Are so many things protected? Are there so many set-asides? Are there so many favors? Are there so many exemptions? Is the whole thing just rules piled upon rules piled upon rules that you can't make sense out of it anymore? And it's time to get together and have a meeting.
You need to burn the current Constitution.
Whoa.
And start over.
Wait a second. Do you really want to start over? Or do you just want to deal, or do you just want to deal with, the financial, with the taxation, with the monetary aspects of the state constitution?
You might have a point. You might keep some of the basics, civil liberties, that sort of thing. but start over with all the financial
Would
stuff.
it solve
all the protections?
Would it solve all of the state's monetary trouble as far as the process of putting together a state budget? We need another special session. Nobody likes this budget, but it's part of the process. What you see now is not what you're going to end up with. All the reasons, all the excuses that you're given from both sides. Is the situation one that could be corrected? You ready for this?
Yeah.
Is Louisiana's financial mess, the way we do things, one that could be corrected if we went to a flat tax or a fair tax?
Probably. And get rid of all the exemptions.
Get rid of everything.
Yep, everything would be gone.
It would make it a lot simpler. It would mean there's no more handouts. I don't know. I don't know what the differences would be. Would businesses be more or less inclined to come to Louisiana if they knew what the rules were going in and we weren't going to change the rules? Or are they better served, businesses outside the state? Are they better served by Texas or Oklahoma or Arkansas or Florida, or pick one, if they know they can go to legislators and work the room, so to speak, for favored treatment?
I just don't want the same old people handling it is what I care about.
Who's the same old people?
The same
We've got
old...
the governor's different than it was 4 years ago, 6 years, 8 years ago. There's lots of turnover.
But it's the same mentality type folks. We need just regular folk who really care about the state.
So
and love
Erin
the state.
McCarty, let's have a constitutional convention, and Erin McCarty is running for constitutional convention delegate.
Nah, not yet. No, too much time. It's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I'll find somebody who'll do it, though, who I would trust.
Count me in. As soon as they decide to have one,
okay.
I will campaign on this radio station, on this microphone, until the rules make me stop.
Okay.
I will be down there, and it would be awesome. 29 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM. And I'm not talking about free food. 29 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Ruben's here.
Still keeping an eye on some backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Benton Road right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, turning warmer today, mostly sunny with a high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 55 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
of information. KEEL News now.
SPD on the hunt for a bank robber. We get more on that from Matt Parker.
Shreveport police are on the hunt for Mark Longnecker, the man they believe is responsible for a Monday morning bank robbery. Police say that Longnecker allegedly brandished a gun at the Regions Bank on Pines Road and demanded money from the clerk. The suspect led police on a chase on I-220 before ultimately escaping into the woods. Police believe Longnecker is armed and dangerous. Police urge anyone with information on his whereabouts to call Crime Stoppers at 673-7373. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Legal fight involving SPD. Brian Poole, who was shot by police after a low-speed chase, has filed suit against the Shreveport Police Department. Poole, who pled guilty to aggravated flight from an officer and admits he was under the influence of drugs, claims that Corporal John Brasino had no reason to shoot him, and it should have been clear that he was no threat to the officer. Caddo grand jury reviewed the shooting and cleared the officer last year. Lawsuit filed against Shreveport and the MPC for discrimination, and the Caddo Commission is also in the suit. Judy Negretti's filed the lawsuit for alleged discrimination. In a letter from her lawyer, Negretti claims the MPC fired her for questioning why two of her fellow employees were let go. Her lawyer says Negretti acted as a whistleblower against age and race discrimination and was fired as retaliation by the MPC. Local civil rights leader Mamie Wallace has died. Wallace played a major role in bringing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Galilee Baptist Church back in 1962. Wallace was famous locally for telling people to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Mamie Wallace was 96. A proposal to increase fees for hunting and fishing licenses failed to get the necessary 70 votes to pass the House. The legislation would bring in about $6.8 million a year. Logansport Representative Larry Bagley says the public is not opposing this legislation, and he hopes there's another vote on the proposal.
You know, if it was a big group that were opposed to it that did that, I certainly would listen, but I have not heard that. I've heard members, but not citizens.
The Department of Health offering free STD and HIV testing this week at the Caddo Parish Health Unit. It's part of the CDC's Prevention Month for STDs. LDH officials say Louisiana has a higher STD rate than any other state, and it's important to get tested and try to end that trend. Police in Canada's largest city are piecing together witness accounts and surveillance video, trying to determine why a driver plowed a rental van along a crowded sidewalk, killing 10 people and injuring 15. 6 months after announcing an historic change, the Boy Scouts have started admitting girls into the Cub Scouts program. So far, about 3,000 girls have joined. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Make a mental note, and I am totally serious. 837, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, KEEL app free, not that mental. Although if I had to describe you in one word, I'd say, yep, she's mental. Write down, because I forgot, and the interview was just not in this direction, not that he would have minded, when I talked yesterday with John Kennedy. And at some point, we're talking about the state budget and what a mess, a myriad of rules that just don't seem to make a lot of sense. And I wanted to ask him, as I mentioned earlier this morning, Mr. John, the state treasurer takes zero money from the state of Louisiana. Now, it was never one of the most highly funded departments by the state, but the point is, when you took over, you saved the state $1 million or so a year, maybe a little more. What did you do? How did you pull it off? What was your source of funding? Walk me through the process where the Treasury Department of Louisiana became totally self-supporting. And is it something that, like I said, could you make a video? Could you put it on YouTube? Could we send the link to everybody in Baton Rouge and say, take a look at this? You might learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
839, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL traffic, and Ruben on KEEL.
Still keeping an eye on some backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Benton Road right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be mostly sunny with a warmer high of 80. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 55. Sun and some clouds, high 79 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure.
Not to pat myself on the back because I'm old and inflexible. Might separate a shoulder. 1017
Throw
FM.
a hip out.
Huh?
Throw a hip out.
You know, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin. I do have a birthday coming up on Saturday.
I know. I have a couple of surprises for you.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Great.
I was planning a big one. I'll just tell you right now, it didn't happen.
It fell through?
It fell through.
Thank God.
Yeah. Me and Bill Joyce were working on him coming in this week.
That would have been
surprise
awesome, yeah.
But he is in the Netherlands or Neverlands or wherever it is.
He's in Netherlands, yeah.
The Netherlands,
yeah. It's where they have
somewhere overseas.
Yeah, windmills and
across the pond.
And
he's in
ferries.
Europe. But he sends his birthday wishes. So, but I'm working on other surprises.
It's okay if you don't.
It doesn't look like the governor's going to be a go for singing birthday to you because you called him insane.
He's just a crazy man.
Yeah. Don't look what you just did.
I meant that in a fun, happy way.
She's going to call me now.
I meant that in a fun, upbeat, happy way. Hey, he's just a crazy man. You want to hang
He's
out
just
with
a fun, crazy guy.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, he's like Steve Martin. Would you
Erin.
like to go drinking with the governor?
Yeah,
if he
well,
called and said, Robert,
yeah.
I'm coming up there. Let's go to Superior Steakhouse and at the bar and have a couple of drinks.
I'd buy.
Would you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Would you really?
In a heartbeat.
Would you get him an Uber to get him wherever he's got to go?
I'd pick him up. I would chauffeur him around in my little car.
Okay, if you sit down with the governor and you order him a drink,
Yeah.
you're not going to ask him what he wants. What would you order him?
Beg your pardon?
What are you going to order Jay Beasy?
Is this a serious question?
Yes, what are you ordering?
No, I would let him get what he wants.
No, just if you want to show him what a classy guy you are,
Yeah.
and you're going to try to show off and order him a drink.
Oh, four tequila shots.
What?
Hell yeah.
Nothing says class like tequila
You want to
shots.
get him drunk, huh?
Yeah, I want the truth.
Oh, man. And if he told you everything's off the record.
Let me tell you, and I mean this in the best way. You look at John Bell, you think John Bell can drink.
Oh, you know he can drink. He's a good Catholic boy.
I mean that in the best way.
Yeah.
Matt, get your head out your hands.
He can throw them back.
Okay, if
Would you like me to ask if he would come have a drink with you?
No.
Or you'll go to Baton Rouge and have a drink with him? Robert wants to go take the governor out for drinks.
Meet you at Sullivan's Bar.
Oh.
Not bad, huh? All of
And
a
you
sudden-
buy?
Yeah.
I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, if he comes up here, I got to get coupons from bookkeeping. What did you think about the Mike Johnson conversation? Basically, let me back up. What did you think about the new Bossier Parish School prayer rules?
Well, we talked about it last week a little bit because they adopted them last week, and I think it's a shame that we had to do that, but I think they did because of this lawsuit that was filed, I think filed in February.
Do you think the lawyers said to them, you guys got to come up with something pretty strong?
Fix this so we can make this suit go away.
You're getting ready to get killed.
And you're going to lose.
Yeah.
They were essentially told
Is that what
you're
Mike
gonna...
said? He said they were following
Yeah, they were
policy.
gonna
They were
lose.
following the precedent. The legal team for the Bossier Parish School System said what Mr. Mike said. They're following precedent set by previous court decisions.
One of the things I don't like, and I don't like about the law, I guess the rulings, is that after a sporting event, a lot of schools, a lot of the teams, the kids want to gather after
Meet in the
both
middle,
teams
take
meet in
a
the middle
knee
and pray.
And pray.
The coaches can't join them.
Nope.
They have to just kind of stand back.
Can't bow your head. Matt, what was my idea yesterday? You don't know about this idea. I came up with this
dumbest thing.
This is an awesome idea. It's not the dumbest thing.
It's pretty stupid.
I think this would eliminate any possibility of coaches, for example, at midfield with players.
Yeah.
Post game, the players are down. They are thanking God for a victory, or
Nobody
they are
getting
hoping for
hurt.
strength in the face of loss. They are thanking them for their safety and their strength. And the coaches, the coaching staff, faculty members are not even allowed to bow their heads because that could be interpreted by the courts, by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. That could be interpreted as as
school sanctioned prayer,
as an endorsement of Christianity or whatever prayer they're making by the state.
Oh, yeah.
So I came up with a way that they would never have to worry about that.
Oh.
I think it's an awesome idea. Matt seems to think it's less than brilliant, but what does Matt know? He's young and has a way to go.
Yeah.
So that being the case, tell her what my idea was.
He wants them. He wants to start a GoFundMe account to buy them all neck braces.
So they can't possibly lower their heads.
Oh, so they couldn't lower their head.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I think Matt's an ultramaroon.
I thank you very much.
Dumb.
Neck braces around, all around.
Classes.
Teachers would get them.
Meetings.
We'll just issue them.
Assembly.
We'll have them extra ones in the teacher's
Games.
lounge.
Here's the interesting thing, and I'm going to wax a little serious here. It's interesting to me that we live in a country where, and this is, like Mike said, it's an evolution. Elections have consequences. We have reached a point in this country where literally, if a teacher bows his head, her head, if another student is praying or group of students are praying, that is forbidden because that could be interpreted as an endorsement of religion, a specific religion, in this case Christianity, by the state. And yet, Teachers are allowed in the middle of class to get up and walk out with students who are favoring the confiscation of weapons, who want the repeal of the Second Amendment. We in this country right now, teachers at Fresno State are allowed to stand up. What do you think that woman at Fresno State,
She gotta go.
who said, I am glad Barbara Bush is dead. She was a racist, and I am glad she has gone. What do you think she has previously said to students in class? And yet, not only is she allowed to do that, to say that, to publicly say those things, but she is protected by the state. She is protected by the schools by standing up and saying, I'm glad Barbara Bush is dead, that old crotchety racist. Isn't she, in fact, as much of a representative of the state as the teacher who bows his or her head at an assembly, or a coach who bows his head out of respect for his players and their faith post-game?
Right.
Evidently the hell not.
It's not the same anymore.
So teachers can back their students, support their students in their repeal of the Second Amendment. Teachers can receive the support of the state when somebody like Barbara Bush dies and she says, she's dead and I'm glad.
Right.
And yet you can't bow your head.
It's craziness.
849, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL traffic and weather right now. Here's Ruben.
Still keeping an eye on some backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Benton Road right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Right now, 62, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL 850, your money now.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
A recent article in the New York Times says more and more Democrat candidates are actually running as socialists, and they're proud to tell people they are.
It turns out that the election of Donald Trump convinced tens of thousands that both parties were broken and the country was in need of a radical fix. But look, socialism is a lose-lose proposition. In order to spread the wealth, you have to first confiscate it from those that earned it.
Socialism goes against everything America's supposed to stand for. As Margaret Thatcher once said, eventually you run out of other people's money.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. I mention that because it's always there if you want to text me and tell me how awesome I am, if not rapidly aging. So you really still have a couple of birthday surprises.
I do, yeah. I'm working on a few, yeah.
If you're still working on it, I would infer from that they're not finalized.
They're not final yet.
You don't have to do it.
Well, it's final, but just the timing and the day is not final.
You don't have to do it. It's okay.
You don't want a birthday present?
It's not. Well, what? See,
it's not going to be a party. Not till you're 70. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Threw you one at 50,
60,
and I was 60, and I didn't show up, and
that was the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, wasn't it?
On that upbeat note, let's go a little early. Matt will figure it out. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, 101. Don't what? What? Just
he's
figure
just
it
shaking
out.
his head.
All morning long, he's sitting over there telling us he's the greatest producer that not only that we could have, that we could ever have. It's like Robert Redford. When I walk down the street, I want people to say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best that ever was, the best that ever will be.
Yeah.
There goes Matt Parker, the best that ever was, the best that ever will be.
Okay.
Now we're on time. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Kim Commando.
When it comes to owning a smartphone, how young is too young? Kim Commando with your Tuesday Consumer Tech Update. Researchers in England say a full 1/4 of all kids under the age of 6 now carry smartphones. Family customs in both England and America are similar enough to assume that the same is happening here. 30% of parents say they purchased the phone simply because the child asked for it. Another 20% say they gave the phone to the child to keep them entertained, which I think we can all agree is a really bad reason. Especially considering, on average, very young children will spend about 2 hours a day on smartphones, if they can get their hands on one. Since most parents don't monitor what a child's smartphone does once it's in their hands, a few basics. First, I would disable the data function and allow young children to only make calls or send text messages. And even more importantly, restrict their phone to make and receive those calls and text messages only from certain numbers. I'm Kim Commando. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. You need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed.com for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
Get Kim on your phone or tablet with the free Commando app. It's the easiest way to get Kim's great advice and the latest security alerts and breaking tech news on the go. Close to 50,000 people have gotten the app in a few months. What are you waiting for? Download the free Commando.com app for your Apple smartphone and tablet or your favorite Android device. Just search Commando in iTunes or Google Play. It's free. That's Komando.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us.
Every single person has the opportunity, the chance, the risk to be corrupted when they get power.
You mean if they're not already oriented in the mindset that they are a public servant?
Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
The intersection at Olive Street and Highland Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Benton Road near Green Acres Boulevard in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, turning warmer today, mostly sunny with a high of 80, clear to partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 55 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.